up, it's Grace, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of November. I've read 9 books, and that's a lot, so I just want to go ahead and get into it, but I will say that I basically loved everything I read except maybe 2 of the things. So yes, let's discuss all the good books. The first 3 books I'm going to talk about I was sent by Penguin Teen because I moderated a panel earlier this month with these authors and they sent me these books so I could familiarize myself with their work. So the first book that I read is Bell Jar by Meg Wolitzer, which is greatly inspired by Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, which I haven't read. But this follows a young girl named Jam, and she has recently lost her first love, and it's very hard to cope, and you know, just death at a very young age is just really hard for her to cope with, and her parents are really worried about her. So they send her to this boarding school for very fragile, highly intelligent teens, and she's put in this very unique English class where they have this journal and they study Sylvia Plath, and the teacher tells them to just write anything in the journal, and at the end of the semester you turn it in. But little do they know, when they write in the journal, they're transported into this other world, and it's called, the other world is called Bell Jar, and it's basically an ideal world where everything works out and tragedy is not the main focus in their life. And I went on Goodreads and I looked at the reviews for this and it didn't have that great reviews, so I just went into it like eh. But I came out of it like, this is a very memorable read for me. I really enjoyed it. I will say that the character Jam at the beginning was kind of annoying because she was very dramatic and she was like, I can't live like this, I can't live without him, you know, that type of thing. But everything has its purpose, and the reveal at the end was just, I thought, so well done, and I love this book a lot, like way more than I thought I was, and I gave this, I believe, 4 or 4.5 stars. So the next book I read is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, and this is a dual perspective book. It follows twins, it follows Jude and Noah, and you get Noah's perspective when they're 13, and Jude and Noah have a really great relationship, like, you know, kind of like the perfect twin relationship. And they do bicker, but that's kind of just what comes with being siblings. And their family's pretty good. They do have their problems, but like, that's life. And then you transition to when they're 16, which is in Jude's perspective, and they don't even talk. And there's been a tragedy in their family. And a very big main focus in this book is art, which I really loved. The characters in this book are so different from anything I've read, and they're so diverse, and they have just like, I love when characters have like unique little traits that I can really just think about them, like they're just so real, I guess. And I love the writing, it was so great. I loved the family, even though things were messed up, and the minor characters were great. And the moral of the story, what I got was, in life there's really like no right or wrong, things are gray, and you can't really control what you want. You know, the heart wants what the heart wants, and it's so beautiful, and I love this book so much. I bought her other book, The Sky is Everywhere, which I can't wait to read, and I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, I listened to on audiobook because I had read the first 30 pages and it was really slow and I needed to read it fast before the panel, and this is the first audiobook I've ever listened to, and that is Atlantia by Ali Condi. And this is a really good premise. It follows a young girl named Rio, and her and her sister and like this whole colony live in an underwater city, and it's not like mermaids or anything. It's like an underwater city that people can breathe in. When they come of age, I believe 16, they get to choose if they want to stay in the underwater city or go topside and basically kind of sacrifice themselves, because you can't live topside because there's the pollution and all that. And the sisters had promised each other that they would stay in the underwater city because their mom had just recently died and they only had each other. And little did Rio know, her sister Bae decided to go topside, and Rio has no idea why, and you are getting kind of like, why is this even happening through the book. I will say I really liked the relationship between the main character and her sister, and I liked the difference between their mom and their mom's sister's relationship between their relationship, because it was great and then not great at all. And I really liked the aunt in this. Her name is Mare. She's kind of an anti-villain, and you don't really know her motives till the end of the novel, which I thought was cool. But essentially this book really felt extremely flat for me. I listened to it on audiobook, and I've never again listened to a book on audio, and so that was kind of new for me. but I think that I couldn't have been able to get through this book if I didn't listen to it on audio. It was just so slow, but the premise was great and I think it had a lot of potential, but it just essentially just fell flat for me. And I haven't even rated this on Goodreads yet because I'm still like confused about it, but I would give it like 2 stars. The next book I read, I Betty read with a friend of mine here on BookTube, and that is Lauren from Books and Tea and All Things Me, who I will go ahead and link down below. You guys should check out her channel because she's awesome and she's just a wonderful person. And that book that we read is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. And this follows a young girl named Sam who, from the outside looking in, she has everything. She's a great athlete, she's a swimmer, and she's in the popular group in high school. But she has a very dark, big secret, and that is she suffers severely from OCD. And before I went into this book, I wasn't really educated on OCD. What I thought OCD is you just need to make sure like everything is perfect. But that's definitely, I think that is like a minor OCD or something. But she suffers from more of the obsession of thoughts. And it affects her life so much. It was heartbreaking and it was so real, and the description of OCD was so vivid and it really just made you feel her like struggle, and I thought it was written beautifully. And she doesn't feel like she could be herself with her friends that she has, but she meets this wonderful girl named Caroline, and she takes her to this kind of secret group where they tell their poetry. And I'm not too keen on poetry. Like, poetry is not something that I really enjoy to read about, but I think I do enjoy like more of the theatrical slammed poetry, which I believe kind of is this. It's more of like a story where you can actually understand it. I'm talking about like the "you are the sun and the rain is your hair" type of poetry. I don't like that stuff. But I loved this poetry. I loved the twists in this book. The main character was awesome. The love interest was awesome. Everything was awesome, and I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is The Revolution of Ivy, which is the second and last book in the Book of Ivy duology. I believe that's what it's called. And I really enjoyed the first book, The Book of Ivy, but this one fell a little bit flat for me. It was a little bit disappointing. It still was enjoyable, like I read it real quick, but the main character was so annoying and I couldn't take it. And there was something that just didn't spark really my love like it did the first book. I don't know really what it was. Well, it's probably the main character being really annoying. But I really did enjoy the characters that were introduced. I think that they would have a great other series that would be a great spin-off with them. But yes, I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars, so it was enjoyable. The next book I read was my favorite book of the month, and I'm not over it. I'm so happy about it, and that is Winter by Marissa Meyer, which is the 4th and final book in the Lunar Chronicles. I love this book. I love these characters. I just feel like crying all the time when I think of them. I thought it wrapped up beautifully. I love this world so much. It's so unique, so intricate, and there's so much depth in the story and how everything intertwines. I'm just like, how do you even do this? I don't know. Humans are crazy when they can write books like this. And I loved Winter, like the character Winter. She was so awesome and so different again from like a character that I've read before. I love Cress, I love Thorn, I love everyone. I love Scarlet, I love Wolf, I love Kai, I love Cinder. And you know what's weird is the love interest for Winter, his name is Jason, I believe. And I don't know what I was thinking while I was reading this book, but when I would see his name, I would just like, you know when you just kind of like roll over a word, like you don't really decipher it, you kind of just read over it? Well, I read over his name like till maybe the last 50 pages of the book, and then I realized his name was Jason. And I was like, how did I not know that? But I thought that was funny. Anyway, of course I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't read this series, pick it the heck up. Next book I read, I'm a little bit bitter about because I was really disappointed with it. And that is Champion by Marie Lu, which is the 3rd and final book in the Legend trilogy. I don't like it. I've been reading this book for a long time, like 3 months I think, and I got halfway through it. I was so bored. And then I finally just picked it up and I read the last half and I was so bored again. I did not like the ending. I didn't like that at all. Made me mad. Just made me mad. I don't know if I took too long with the book. Like, I read them way too far apart, to be honest. So it could just be my fault. But you know what these books lack for me? They lack humor. There's no funny things in these books. And like, even in dark books, I need a little bit of humor, man. A little bit. Because that's what makes it like real and funny and lighter than, you know, it should be. I didn't like it. So I gave it 2 stars, but it's more of like a 1 star for me. So, After I read Champion, I just needed to read something that I knew that I would like. So I went and I reread the first 2 books in the Mortal Instruments, City of Bones and City of Ashes. Guess what, guys? I love them so much. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna continue on with rereading this series because I love this series so darn much. So those were all the books that I read in the month of November. My favorite read of the month was Winter by Marissa Mayer. I think I said that in this video, but it needs to be praised. And also, it was so fabulous to be back in the Shadowhunter world. This is my 2nd favorite series, so just too great for words. And if you guys want to go ahead and tell me your favorite read of the month, go ahead and tell me. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.